Listen. Now, 2019 starting off with a cold for LME, so if I start sounding like Kendrick Lamar on that Mona Lisa verse, I apologize in advance. However, regardless of me going through puberty, it's my job to cover these movies for you and get these videos out the same way they got this movie out first thing this year. Now, I know the stigma for January movies. Hollywood knows the holidays are over. Most studios are focusing on their Oscar runs. There's snow out, so everyone's inside. So it's usually just the dookie releases that come out, with a couple Paddington sprinkled in. But I'll be honest, Escape Room was a rent it for me, and considering the latest news reports, it kind of makes it even scarier. I do hate the ending though. I don't think the acting is that great, but this is like that movie that would have been released in late August, even though it was meant to be for Halloween. Let me explain. So like I said, last year horror movies just took every board game, and now it seems work outing social that they possibly can in order to make content. But if there's one movie I found this to be most similar to, it would be Hellfest. Both are survival of the fittest thrillers that go all out with the production design, and both kind of push kids to either go to haunted houses, and I'm pretty sure a bunch of people are not going to go to escape rooms. I'm just hoping that they don't make a horror movie that ruins movie theaters for people.
At all.
Phantom of the Megaplex strikes again!
So pretty much you have a group of 6 who individually get this little box puzzle that they need to solve, but regardless of how far they get with it, they all get the invite anyways. The invite pretty much tells them to go to the state-of-the-art escape room where they can win a bunch of money, but what's interesting about it is that the studio themselves are hosting their own virtual escape room online where you too can win $1 million. Yeah, right. I'm not falling for that. I love how this is practically TV Stars the movie. Y'all know Karen from Daredevil, Lawrence from Insecure, Benny from The Walking Dead, Zahid from Atypical, Judy from Lost in Space, and of course Tucker, who's, reaped a couple. They all arrive at this building where they get their phones confiscated, and they don't even realize that the waiting room they're in is already the escape room. Now, to me, the whole premise is really interesting because I do like escape rooms, and I personally really love this movie called Exam, which if you haven't seen and escape room is kind of up your alley, definitely go watch that one. But what's interesting is how much it correlates to real life, because you have Danny, who's played 93 escape rooms, so he's the genius when it comes to figuring out what to do, but just like escape rooms, you got all the other people who are just touching things. Zoe thinks Fahrenheit 451 is a code, so when she inputs it, she doesn't realize that the room actually is turning into an oven that's 451 degrees. They figure out that putting 6 cups on their coasters opens up a vent for them to leave, but because they don't have enough hands to put everything down, they do this whole bit where they're trying to fill it up with water, and I'm just sitting there going like, bro, just put a book on top of it. Either way, that room blows up, and Danny's still there thinking that all of it is just effects.
Talk about immersive.
They end up in a cabin in the woods where Logan realizes that the passcode to escape from there is Rudolph, and that's where things started getting pretty trippy, Besides the production design, which I think is fantastic, shout out to Ed Thomas, who did his best making each room a freaking big practical effect. To me, the background story of why each was chosen was super interesting. It turns out that every person in this room escaped death in some way. Zoe was the sole survivor of a plane crash, Ben of a car crash, Amanda from an IED, Mike from a mining accident, Danny from carbon monoxide, and still too happy that all his family died, and Jason, who was shipwrecked and drowned and decided to choke out the other dude in order to get his fake Canada Goose jacket. So it's kind of like Final Destination, where they cheated death and now it's coming back to get them, but it's also in the form of the OA, where it's a group that wants to exploit how lucky these guys got and escaped death once and now want to see if they could do it again with their maze. They end up on the set of the shack for the 3rd room and legit have to melt a key that they fished out, but then
In the water that day, I was ready to give up, but then I hear this voice telling me, go back. Either I'm nuts
or God's talking to you.
But I don't believe in God.
So I guess they can die. They're one down when they enter the newest room, which is hands down my favorite. It's practically this upside down bar that acts like a tower of terror because it keeps going up levels. They're trying to figure out the clues while the floors are dropping out like musical chairs. They're playing that song from Lost, When We Met Desmond, so I'll admit I have a bias.
Downtown.
And while this one has the best clue of the movie, it also has the best set piece where Karen has to ninja warrior her way across the room only to die like a boss, sacrificing herself so that the rest can move on. The final 4 then find themselves in a hospital room that has all of their records, and we see where they all came from. And they have to mess with this EKG machine, which, okay, look, This was the dumbest part of the movie in my mind. Jason ends up electrocuting Mike because he thinks that his heart rate needs to be really high, and he just kills Mike. He then pulls his Goku stunt to get his heart at an even 50 beats to open up the door. The whole thing I thought was kind of dumb. Either way, it allows these two to go to the next room, while Zoe stays behind killing herself. Jason randomly keeps his shirt off, which, I see y'all, I saw Insecure. I know he's the only one on the show who isn't that. This fingerprint room gets them high off peyote or something, because this whole clip starts getting super trippy. It's like they just dropped much dank effects on this thing. They're trying to find the antidote while they're super high. These two fight. Ben ends up winning, killing the other dude, as he's the only survivor ready to cash in. Turns out Zoe was pulling a Westworld. She pretended to die in the previous room, so when the cleanup room came in to pull a 2319, she would knock them out and escape. She rushes through the building and finds the final room, where Ben is, and we meet the dude behind it all. A nobody. Now, we do learn that it's actually a much bigger organization that's hosting several mazes, and they're actually stationed in New York. They scope out people who've escaped death. They bait them to sign up, then supposedly broadcast their escape journey to viewers who pay big money for the real thing. But I'm just not a fan of where they keep like a mysterious figure, the real head honcho who's behind it all, and well, why is he so mysterious if when you finally reveal him, he's still going to be a nobody to us? Now, I'm not saying that it has to be the Balco Corporation doing another experiment, that it has to be Jigsaw or one of his 1,000 accomplices, but I wish there was more to the company. I wish we knew more about them, which I guess is why they want to make a sequel. At the end of the movie, we practically get this prologue where these two are the only survivors, and the police straight up dismiss everything that they told them because they went and they checked one room and they're like, see, nothing was here. Even though there was an entire building that went stories high. Like, are you telling me that this corporation just fiddled around the roof themselves out of there that fast? 6 months pass and the corporation finds a way to fake the deaths of all the other players as the girl reads off their obituaries on a newspaper. And she decides that once she knows that they're located in New York, she's going to fly to their offices and forces Benny to go with her, since he also forced Simon out. But little does she realize that the plane she's about to take over is just another escape room with higher challenges that they've planned for her. Okay, I do got a little bit more to say. I do want to give this movie credit for the details, right? Like, yeah, there's corny anagrams that they do. Like, the whole time that you're seeing Dr. Wooten Yo, it just ends up being a play on No Way Out. But I really like the Slumdog Millionaire spin of it, how they kind of white-bared it with the players. Each room was based off mistakes that they made in the past or memories of a traumatic event, which was an interesting way to mess with their psyche as they're trying to figure out how to get out of that room. You know, there's several moments, like in the beginning, where the guy at the front tells Amanda, thank you for your service, and you realize later on that it was because she served in Iraq. There's the moment where Amanda says, do I know you from TV? And we realize it was because Zoe was kind of famous from the crash. The Chicago Mirror newspaper that reads 5 burned alive isn't only traumatic because Amanda herself got burnt, but even kind of scarier when you, again, look at what happened in real life recently. The compass for Zoe being the one thing that she had after the accident. The husky Mike sees that has 2 different colored eyes. The jacket that this guy fought for, the magazine covers that display all the rooms before they even hit them, a bunch of cool stuff. I even like the Final Destination feel with the plane set, but boy, the acting on that final clip, like, you know the acting is bad when it sounds dubbed, and it's not. I'm still laughing at how the girl or whoever else is controlling the game put the final room manager as a player. Like, just put him up on screen like it was Super Smash and then crossed him off when he died. It's just one of those things where it was clear that they wanted to leave a cliffhanger in order to get a sequel. But if this was supposed to be like a real escape room, then once the movie ended, they should have told you everything you needed to know. And also because y'all might not get greenlit for the next one, so now we're just going to be left hanging. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Again, apologies for my voice completely being gone. We're traveling to the West Coast right now, and I'm just... I almost wasn't going to be able to record this, but it was either try to get this one out or just have, like, probably a week or two. I don't know how long it's going to be. I know I'm sounding like Mike Wazowski's boss with the voice right now, but... hopefully it's not too irritating. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section for this movie. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, I enjoyed it. There's a bunch of bad stuff on there. I hate that they made Lawrence, because to me Lawrence is like Black Chuck. Like, he looks just like him. He's such a likable actor. He's such a nice dude. So to see him try to play like the dick in this movie made no sense. There was like a line that he says about like making fun of someone's One Direction CDs. It's like, bro, no, everyone's got like a One Direction CD. It wasn't that bad. Some miscasting in the movie that that didn't work for me. I wish that they would have wrapped it up a little bit better. Very nice set pieces, but the overall story didn't fully work for me, but I'm curious your thoughts. I do think it's interesting that originally this movie was called just The Maze. Maybe they didn't want to fight the Maze Runner, or it could be because of escape rooms were more popular that they changed it to that, because the director himself had never even done an escape room until he started doing this movie, so that's pretty interesting. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Definitely let me know whether you liked it, whether you didn't. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll give you your next clue.